Hey guys, it's Cal here from KR Sabers. A lot of you who follow my Facebook page would have seen that I have been learning to do acid etching, and been testing extensively for the Satil build that I'm doing. I was inundated with people asking how to do acid etching and what the process is. I did email around to a few different people when I got started to find out, how to do acid etching or what the process was. Not many people were, for those who did do it quite well that I'd seen, didn't really want to explain like a step-by-step process, which I can fully appreciate. They've taken the time to find out how to do it, and they've spent time and money, etc., to learn how to do it. So if they don't want to share how to do it, that's absolutely fine. I've no problem with that whatsoever. So when I started on the Satil build, obviously the hardest thing is trying to understand how the pattern is, because on the saber, it's round for a start, and it's difficult to get that pattern on there. So before I even started, I spoke to Oogly Sabers. They had built a Satil saber in the past and did their own acid etching. So they didn't want to explain to me exactly how they did it. Clearly, they're busy. They've got plenty of stuff to do. They don't need to be emailing some random person across the world how to do something step by step. So they sent me a thread link to their first initial Lula May build, which is the one that Oogly Sabers made, the first one, before they did another Satil saber. In the thread they had an image, like a basic image, not basic image, but they had an image of how they actually done the acid etching, how they did the design. So it was really useful what they sent, and it gave a good background on how they did it. Obviously, some of the products they used, I can't really get here in England. Like, they had something called like Zoot Root Kill. Obviously, people who follow a tutorial will try and get exactly what was needed for that project or whatever it is. They get exactly what's required. So they sent the image, and I started doing some test etching. So this was the first one that I did, following the step by step. One thing that I need to say, if you're watching this tutorial now, is testing's the most important thing. Like, if you don't test this, you risk just wasting materials, or when it comes to doing the final piece, you risk really like messing it up. So this was the first one that I did. I decided to use Ferric Chloride. It's just a PCB etch chemical, and this is the results that it gave after I polished it. It may look really nice on camera, it's nice in person, but it's not really raised, it's fairly flat, and you can see it's almost like pixelated, the image, because the image is pixels. And when one thing that I'll explain later is that having vector software like Adobe Illustrator, for example, you're able to blow the images up quite big, and when you do your custom image that you want to do, it will print much higher resolution than this. But this was just a test to understand what acid etching was, how it reacts with metal, and just get a rough idea. So this is the one that came out at first. So that was using a low resolution image printed onto some cheap transfer paper. It's not transfer vinyl, it's a transfer paper, and then etched in ferric chloride for about 2 minutes. This is the result that it gave. So got a good response when I posted it on the Facebook. That was the first test. So after that test, I moved on to trying it again, and the results were pretty bad. Because the image was quite pixelated, it just pitted. I had to sand it down, clean it, and you can see there's not much depth to the image there or anything like that. I just did it the same thing again with P&P blue paper. This is P&P blue paper, and it didn't really produce the best results. I then tried it again with ferric chloride, and left it in the etch for a bit longer. Made sure the transfer was right, but once again, the ferric chloride didn't produce the best sort of results. And it just, I was really confused as to why it was happening, but this is where I come on to the point about the vector software. So the vector software was able to make it a higher resolution image by using some of the tools on there. And it was actually the resolution of the image that I was transferring that was causing this problem. So when I started learning how to use Adobe Illustrator during this process, I did the test again, and you know, the results came out a lot better, which you can see here. A lot more depth, it's properly raised, and this was using ferric chloride again, so I was quite happy with ferric chloride. But the thing was, with ferric chloride, it's quite hard to clean up. It's quite messy as well. It bubbles quite a lot when you're doing it, and the fumes that come from it are quite dangerous. And it's acid etching in general. You're messing with chemicals, so it is going to be dangerous anyway. But if that'll move on to my next point. So after cleaning up and tidying, after being so happy with these results, I emailed Oogly Sabers and, you know, thanked them for all their help. You should check out their Facebook page to look at some of the work they've done. It's really great. And thanks to them for letting me use the initial template. So then I started to decide how to do my own design, because obviously I can't take their design, it's theirs. And for the Satil build. So I bought a graphics tablet. A graphics tablet's sort of like a pad that you have, and you get like a pen, but whatever you write on the tablet will project onto your computer screen. And I did my own image and etched it on here. So this was my own first test image, and it came out great. The only difference is this time is I used a different etching technique that actually proved a lot easier in terms of cleaning up, maintenance, and storage. Obviously, ferric chloride is a really dangerous chemical, and if you just keep it lying around the house, you never really know what can happen. It stains. I had white trainers on when I was doing it, and it was just going everywhere. So I decided to try a saline sulfate mix, which, if any of you were in school in science, you know, you used to evaporate copper sulfate to get copper sulfate crystals, and you used to dip little pieces of aluminium or iron in it and watch it like fizz up and stuff like that. So that sort of brought me back to my school days. Now, one thing that's quite difficult is masking out everything on the hilt. So this was the final design that I did, which you can see. These parts here are just the blanked out parts that I did, because on the Satil build it has the greeblies here, which you can see that have to be masked out because you can't etch into that. You want it to be, you know, free, and for the design to flow around the various different accents of the hilt. So I had to mask those out. Essentially, when you print it out, you'll have something like this. So this is the image that I drew, leaving space for the boundaries. It involves a lot of measuring, this process. So you have your tube, you measure around it, see what the diameter is, do any sort of pi calculations or anything like that. So you've got to have a little bit of basic math knowledge. And oh, we've got a piece on the run. And sort of understand how you need to take these measurements. That takes a bit of time. So that was the final etch, and I was super pleased with that. You know, it's raised, it's got a nice patina to the metal. It's a nice way of weathering the metal. You'll see on the Satil build that I'm doing now, I actually dipped it in the same acid solution, no etching or anything, but it sort of gives you a nice weathering look, and then you polish it up and it's nice and smooth, but it gives you like it's really aged. So everyone knows this saber's based from the Old Republic, so it gives it a nice Old Republic look. And then the final design was, you know, came out like this. And I've got obviously the other half for it to be double bladed, but I'm just showing you half for now. So in terms of tools needed, sorry it's taken me so long to actually get to this point. I've got copper sulfate here. These are copper sulfate crystals. Pentahydrate is what it's sometimes known as. You can actually buy this on like eBay. That's where I get mine. eBay or Amazon, something like that. Obviously it is toxic, so you need to be careful with it. If you're not confident about doing something like this, you know, don't. If you're fairly young, don't mess with chemicals. It's probably not the best thing to do. You can really hurt yourself doing it. So if you are quite young, but you know you're into sabers, maybe speak to your mum or dad or something like that and get them to watch over the process. So you need copper sulfate here, and you've got sodium chloride as well. Sodium chloride, salt basically. So if you've got, I've just bought like 99% pharmaceutical grade. These are from like the same company, so I can just go on eBay, type in sodium chloride, type in copper sulfate, and get both the same chemicals quite easily. So you need these two things. Here is P&P blue. There we go. P&P blue paper. Basically, what this paper does, it has a matte side and it has a gloss side. This is like key. These papers are like £1 a sheet. Well, I obviously import them from America, so it's a bit more expensive for me. And what you do is you have this matte side and you print with a toner printer, stressing on the toner printer. It has to be a toner printer. If you don't have a toner printer, you can't really do this. And when you print it on, the toner transfers onto this paper and it's on the matte side. And then you put the paper or the design, say like, see the way this is, you'll wrap it round if it's a tube, and you'll bake it. It works normally as for when you make circuit boards. So if you have a circuit board, you print your circuit track onto the actual paper, and then you'll put the paper down on your copper or whichever sort of circuit board you're using, and then you'll iron it. So the iron surface area goes on here, it transfers the heat, and that toner then transfers onto the piece of metal that you're planning to etch, and it acts as a resist, so it won't react with the chemical when you use it, with the actual acid. So it's always good to print it on normal A4 paper first, normal standard paper, wrap it around, make sure that it fits around there properly and that it will fit for a start. That's the key thing. Test it with A4, don't waste your P&P blue paper sheets, and just waste the paper, really, waste money. So next thing to do, once you've got the P&P blue paper, is make the copper sulfate mix. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably just going to do a little test piece just to show. So I'll go to my computer now, I'll show you on the Vector software how it all works, and we'll go from there. So right now I've just got my computer open. I've just got a free trial of Adobe Illustrator. That's what I use for this entire process. So this is Adobe Illustrator. Just like a enhanced, vector drawing software. There's so many tutorials on YouTube on how to use it, and it's worth learning how to use, because it's fairly useful. So if I just zoom in a little bit here, so if I just do like a new document, let's say, let's have a look here. File. We'll just open a new document. So you set up your new document. Let's just say etch test. And then we can say, we'll make it 50 mil, well not 50 mil, 100 by 100, let's say. Okay, so right now we just got a 100 by 100 mil canvas to start on. What we can do is, just for test purposes, we can do, let's do a Sith logo. So we've got a Sith logo, images. Let's have a look. So maybe we can just do this for now. So if you've got a Sithy saber that you're doing maybe, and you want to have a Sith logo, obviously this is a picture, this isn't actually a vector, so you can just save that image, let's say, and save it to your desktop or wherever you want to save it to, and we'll drag it onto the canvas. Obviously this picture is huge. Let me just fit it to screen. Looks like I'm going to have to zoom out quite a lot. 3.3%, there we go. So I'm just going to make it a lot smaller. Maybe if I zoom in a bit more now. Okay, so it's almost small enough. So right now we've got the Sith logo on a 100 by 100 mil canvas. Let me just arrange it. I don't even know how to do it. Just put it in the center somewhere. Yeah. Still, you can see I don't really know how to use Adobe Illustrator that much anymore. Well, not anymore, but I haven't used it that much. So let's say we've got the Sith logo here. You can do something called image trace, which will vectorize it for you. So now when you zoom in, there's no like pixels. You can see like it's not pixelated. So that way you've got your image, it's not pixelated, and you can go ahead and print it. So you just go File, Print, and it will show you what it will look like. I'm probably going to print mine smaller just to do it as a test etch. So go ahead and print it when you've got an image to print, just with the standard print menu, and you'll print it on the PNP blue paper. Now just remember, when you print it, it needs to be printed on the matte side, not the gloss side, the matte side. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to print this basic small logo, and I'm going to put it onto a piece of metal. Okay, so we've printed it out on the matte side, got the logo there. The cool thing is with PNP Blue is you can use it and print so many different images. So cut out the image. So these scissors are a bit blunt, but you only need to just do it the one time, like a square. So right now we just got a Sith logo, or whichever logo it is. Got the Sith logo here now. Remember, if you want to etch the opposite, you can use, like when you make something negative, it flips the white with the black and the black with the white. You can do that so you can have it inside out. So you see the way my Steel Saber, the raised bits are silver. You can have it in a way where the raised bits will be grey and the grey bits will be silver, just by making it negative. So when you see on here, all the white bits will be black and all the black bits will be white. That way you can reverse how you do your etch. So I've just got a test piece. This was like the first bit that I ever etched. I wrapped it in packing tape and I tried to cut out like a shamrock. It was a poor attempt, but I did cut it out. It did etch, and that was just a way of me sort of understanding what happens when I put metal in the ferric chloride. So when you're putting the transfer on, you want to make sure that it's the matte side down, because remember, this toner is going to transfer with the heat onto the actual metal. So you've got a few different options here. This is called Captain like high temperature tape. So the key is in the high temperature. You can use packing tape, but sometimes it can melt. Sometimes it won't hold this strength. This is a bit expensive. It's like £7 a roll, something like that here in England. But this is probably the best tape to use for when you bake the transfer on. They use it for various different things. You can sometimes use it on electronics to isolate the electronics. Like I said, it's high temperature. Some people do use it, and it's a useful thing to have for when you're doing your actual etch. So just for these purposes, just in case people don't have access to Captain tape, I'm just going to use some packing tape. It's just the same tape that I use for when I pack the sabers for shipping. And what you want to do is basically, let's just say you want to get a strip of it, and you can do this like that. So you get the tape and then put the actual, let me just move this up a bit so you can see, and then put it like this on there. That way you've got a good connection already. And then with your design, you can just want to make sure the whole design gets covered, because remember, it's got to be quite tight. So you've got one there. So maybe I did a bit too much tape, but I will, because you'll tighten it again. So right now you see the design is taped on there. You get a few more strips, and you want to make sure the whole thing is taped. Remember, this is just for test purposes, to show you sort of how it's done. Each of you will get your own sort of little technique going. This is just mine. Obviously, doing the Satil is a lot more difficult, a lot more time spent on doing that one, because I did the design myself and had to spend ages learning how to do it. So right now, just make sure it's tightly on there. Right now you can see the design is taped on there. You'll see how it's fairly translucent, but what is happening now is that when the transfer is actually taking place, you'll see it'll be a lot bolder. You'll see it a lot clearer through the tape. That's a good indication of when it's ready. So right now, I've got my oven preheating to 165 degrees. Well, it's 165 degrees Celsius. I don't know. Some people in America use Fahrenheit. stuff like that. So it's preheating now, and you're going to put this in there for 15 minutes. So put it in there for 15 minutes. That's what I did, and after about 7.5 minutes, I take it out and like rub it with an oven mitt. But either way, I'll show you that now. So my oven's at 165. I've got the piece of metal here. So what I usually do is just pop it in, basically. Just pop it in. Start a timer for 15 minutes. At about 7.5 minutes, I'll take it out, get the oven mitts on, and rub it to make sure the transfer takes place. And yeah, that's what I'll usually do after 15 minutes and peel it off. So in the meantime, we'll show how to make the solution. Okay, so I'm just in the garage now. So one thing that's useful is having a measuring jug. You'll probably need one of these. And then what you want to do is weigh out the copper sulfate and the salt. It's usually a 2-part mix. I usually have like a set formula for when I'm doing big etches, but just for this time I'm going to use just a small amount, like 25 grams. So it's equal parts, so 25 grams of copper sulfate crystals, 25 grams of salt, and then what, so like what, let me see, 50, and like 25 mils of hot water, and then 25 mils of actually I might do a bit more, so 100 mils. I know it's usually I do 500 mils for 100 grams and 100 grams of these two. So if I half it, 250 mils for, so 125 mil of hot, 125 mil of warm water, and then 25 grams. Okay, yeah, got it. There we go. I couldn't think straight. So I just get the hot water running, and then you want to get like a container as well. But this should be all right anyway. So you want to weigh out your copper sulfate and stuff. Obviously you want to do this in like a more ventilated area, so I'm going for 25 grams of copper sulfate. Almost there. Yeah, we've got 25 grams of copper sulfate there. Gets what, 25 grams of salt. Oh jeez. 25 grams of salt. It doesn't have to be perfect. 25 grams of salt. Okay, and then we're going to add 250 mils of hot water. Usually it's like 125 mils of hot and then 125 mils of lukewarm, because remember, these are chemicals, so if you put like boiling water in it, the steam comes out and you might inhale all that steam. So you just want it to be like lukewarm. So it's lukewarm now, so I want to go up to, what, about 300? Yeah, something like that. You know, a quarter of a litre, so I'll just do that. That should be enough. And then start mixing it until all of the solution is dissolved. So just keep mixing that. I think you need to mix it for like at least 10 minutes. Because I'm doing a small etch, I'm just going to do it straight in the jug. But if you're doing a big etch, like a hilt or something like that, you want to be outside, out and about, plenty of ventilation, safety goggles, safety gloves. Please don't take this as like a safety demonstration from me. I'm just showing you this for a test purpose. But safety is the #1 thing. Make sure that you have good gloves on, like latex gloves or mechanics gloves. Wear your glasses, because you don't want to be getting these chemicals in your eyes. Obviously I've done this a good few times now, and I made sure I had all the right protective clothing. There's times where you have to dip your hand in and stuff like that, and you do not want to be doing that and getting acid on yourself. This is one of the reasons why I didn't use the ferric chloride, because it was quite it's quite aggressive in how you use it. It bubbles everywhere and it's just not the best. So you'll see it'll be like a turquoisey greeny colour once it's all mixed. But what happens is when you dip it in the metal, it might go like a grey colour because it mixes with the with the actual solution itself, the aluminium oxide. Because you continuously dip it and then wipe it away, dip it and wipe it away. You have a lot more control over it that way. So that's all mixed. I'm just going to rinse this paintbrush, and I'm just going to fill up my sink with a bit of water, because this is where I'm going to be draining it. So you've got your solution there. So like I said, I'm just going to dip it in a little bit. That's the solution all done. I'm ready to go, pretty much. And so you just leave that, and then you want to have a separate container, usually a bucket, because you'll be outside when you're doing this. Don't do this inside like me. Take a bucket outside, fill it with water, and then have your solution next to you as well. And then we'll go and check to see how everything's doing in the oven, and go from there. Okay, so my design is out of the oven now. You'll see how it's come through more on the paper. And then what you can do is just get like a X-Acto knife or something, just like a scalpel, and just cut. Obviously this is just a test piece of metal, you don't want to actually damage your own metal. Just cut the paper, so you can just get underneath it like that, so that you can get an actual peel going. And you'll see when you're bringing it away, the toner's transferring. I don't know if you can see that. So if you see there, let's peel that away. You'll see how it's clear now. You can see through that. That means the P&P blue has transferred directly across to it. And there's just a little bit of tape there. That was from my silly cut. There was no way of doing that. Alright, so now you see the Sith logo's on there, and it's like a bit raised. Obviously, if there's any parts that have missed it, you can touch up with like nail varnish, or I use these Lumo colour pens. I'll just grab one quickly. You can use like a marker pen, just like a Lumo colour pen, and if you see there's like a little dot there, just fill that in. Fill that in, and then the resist won't react to it. So right now you've got your stencil on there for your design. A little bit's there as well. Yeah, so looks good to me. Well, just for test purposes. So now that you've got your transfer on there, you can go ahead and etch it. So remember, safety goggles, safety gloves. I'm going to try and get the camera a bit lower over it, so you can see what's happening. Let's take a look. So, you've got the solution in there. I wonder if I can get it so you can see it bubbling. Let me just see quickly. My tripod. Okay, that's more like it. Okay, so if you watch, I'll put it in now. And you'll just start to see little bubbles happening. I don't know if you can hear it as well. So put it in there for like a minute, maybe. You can see it's bubbling there. You can just leave it in there for about a minute. I want to try and maybe get a bit more light for you, because there's not much light in here. So yeah, now it's reacting with the copper sulfate. If you have a look, it's grey, it's steaming a little bit. But what you want to do is, after you've got it in there for like a minute, let me just readjust the camera. You then want to take it out and rinse it in the water. because you need to clean it. So it'll be all dark and brown like that, and you rinse it in the water, and the scum sort of comes off. There's like a orangey scum, which is just the aluminium really, and then you'll see it's already sort of turning grey. In this point you can actually rub it a bit with your finger, because you're neutralising it under the water like that. And so you can still see the blues on there, and everything around it is etching. So you put it in the solution a bit more, it will start to bubble away again. You can hear it bubbling away. You want to put it in there for like another minute or so, something like that. And then every time you take it out, just feel it, and if you feel that the blue is really raised, then you know you've got a good etch. Well, that's sort of my opinion. So you just rub your finger along the top of it. If it's got a nice thick or like hard feel, then you know you've done a good etch, and it's properly raised. And then you can go ahead and remove the resist, which I'll show you in a sec. So you can see it's bubbling away now, and you'll see it will start to build up that material again. I'm just stressing to you again, guys, don't do this in your house. Don't do it near clothes like I am. Obviously I've done this so many times now, it doesn't really matter, but do it outside, well ventilated area. Make sure you've got someone supervising you, just in case something goes wrong. You know, you don't want to get any acid in your eyes or anything like that, or any acid on your skin. Just make sure that you're careful. So this has been in here for what, like another minute now. You can see it's all steaming and gooing, stuff like that. It's science at the end of the day. You can also give it a little mix, agitate it a little bit. So what? Let's see how this feels now. So run it under the water, neutralise it a little bit, give it a little wipe with your hand, get all that scum off. It just comes off normally, and you've got your etch there, and you just feel it. Yeah, it feels quite raised. I'll probably put it in there one more time, let it do a little bit more, and just give your hands a quick rinse. If you've got like a garage sink or something like that, it can be quite useful to do it in your garage, because you can just quickly get in there, and quick access to a sink, neutralising it. So give this like another minute or so. Now I know some of you will obviously try this and it might go wrong, so just take your time, don't rush it, and just make sure that you're following things step by step. Obviously I'm not going to disclose exactly how I do everything step by step in terms of that design. I know that the main reason why people are going to want to be doing etching is so that they can have an intricate design like that on there. But that's the hardest part of the whole thing. It's not actually the actual etching process. There's tutorials online on how to do it. There's not many video tutorials online how to do it specific to lightsabers, but there's jewelry etching, there's PCB circuit etching, there's so many different things out there that you can do to use this knowledge. I just thought I would make a video showing how to do it in terms of like a lightsaber perspective, because I know that a lot of people, you might want to try it yourselves. And like I said before as well, don't try it first time on your actual lightsaber. That's just silly. Buy some aluminium round bar from your local stockholders or online, and do it that way. Test it on those metals, and when you know you've got your technique down to a T, then you can do it. So what this is done now, I'd say. I've dipped it in there 3 times for a couple of minutes. Neutralise it, give it a wipe, run it under the tap maybe. Something like that. So this is what I meant about the patina that you can get from these sometimes, is this little acid etch. Because if you dip your entire hilt into it, your whole hilt will be like this sort of grey. So if you're weathering a saber, this is a good technique as well. Now you'll see that the etch is still on there, the resist. So, and it's nicely raised. Now this stuff's gold dust. This is just adhesive remover. You can use acetone, but this stuff's quite handy because it's like a spray. So you want to get your piece and spray a little bit onto a cloth like that, and then give it a rub. So almost there. give it a normal rub, and there you have it. You've got your Imperial logo etched into the metal. It's nicely raised, and then probably the next thing to do is to take it to a bench polisher, which I'll do now. Give it a little bit of a polish, a little bit of a shine, and that's the hard part over. So now I've just got my polishing wheel out. Let's get a light as well, so that you can see. One thing that you can use along with, let me just close my garage door. One thing that you can use as well, which is quite handy, is like Scotch-Brite pad, and you can just give it a light brush, and it gives some nice lines to the piece that you're doing. Gives it like a nice patina, like that. So you see, it looks quite nice. So instead of just like a flat grey colour, you can just give it a light brush with a Scotch-Brite pad. Get a bit of metal polish if you want. Just rub it on like that. I just do it with my finger, and then you can get rid of all those rough edges. Like this. If you don't have a polishing wheel, you can use like a Dremel or something else, like even some elbow grease. Elbow grease will always do. It's just nice to get any scum or stuff like that off it, so you get a smooth finish. And then you can always seal it with a clear coat, or if you want it to age over time, just leave it exposed to the elements. So I'm just going to polish this a bit more, and then clean it with some acetone again, because the acetone will get rid of any polish, and we'll see what the final results are like. So after the end of everything, you've got a nice logo, Imperial logo on your saber. Like I said, you can reverse it so the grey can be on the white, not the white, the silver. That is how you acid etch, guys. So I hope this does help. Obviously there's some masking tape left over, but just remember it's a test piece. Spend a lot more time if you're going to be doing a piece like this, and you can make your saber and add a lot of value to it, add a lot of sort of unique creativity to it. Obviously this isn't the exact design from the Satele game from BioWare, that would obviously be infringing their copyright, but you can make your own design. You can have your name written on it, you can have any logos that you want on it, but it's just a nice way of enhancing your saber and you know, getting that extra flair. So I hope this helps, guys. If you've got any questions, just shoot me a message. I am like inundated with messages, but I'll try and get back to you as soon as I can. And yeah, thanks for checking it out. Give it a like, comment and subscribe, whatever you want to do. And hopefully I can make some more how-to videos in the future. This is the first how-to video that I've done, simply because I'm getting tons of messages on how to do this and I can't keep up. So yeah, check you next time.